good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. It's 10:20. I woke up maybe an hour and a half ago. Haven't really gotten ready for the day yet, feeling kind of slow. I need to get a car. Got to take care of a lot of things in the next several weeks. But there's time. Yeah, I've wanted to do a video essay. I feel a little bit out of my depth with it because I have this software called DaVinci Resolve, and every time I try to do something cool in it, it's like, oh, you can't do this with the free thing, the free version. You're gonna have to upgrade to the. Why do that? Why do that? If you're gonna give something away for free, give you know, create these boundaries. I mean, it's the same thing on Canva, but they do a better job on Canva because the things that you require a premium membership to use, there's like these little crowns or icons or symbols, and so you know right away, like, oh yeah, this is like something uh I can't use with the free membership. And so I think that's and then it's doing what it wants to do, which is advertising for its paid services, paid membership. But it's also not um it's just highlighting the difference between them rather than like making it sneaky and like, oh, you hit a paywall. Dastardly. Dastardly indeed. Um Doing a lot of different things. A friend of mine, a coworker, advised me to not try to put all things under one. Well, she didn't say don't put it all under one umbrella. She said, don't don't get hung up on the fact that you're doing all these different things. Many musicians or creative folks are doing a bunch of different things, and everybody says like, oh, focus on one thing. Well, what if I can't? Um, what if I don't want to? What if I shouldn't? What if you shouldn't actually? Um, I mean, I think focus and attention and getting stuff done is generally good. And I have a playlist on this channel that's going to be about not just I have the sort of on the creative process, which I guess is what these live streams are usually going to be for. And hopefully, engagement and having meaningful conversations with y'all about um, how to do this in all the different ways that could, we could mean what we could mean by that, how to do this. But also, I want to, create more polished content that is informative. One idea that I had, and this is, I guess, the main focus of this particular live stream, is I wanted to do a video about flamenco jazz and have it be a little bit like this video that I saw on Pitchfork. But Pitchfork has a few of these videos, but one of them's about dad rock, one of them's about goth. I think they might have a few others. There's like these animated videos that do sort of like a history of a genre or a subgenre. And dad rock is not really a genre exactly. It's not like a style. It's just that it seems to be an apt description of demographic or listeners or taste or something like that. Whereas flamenco jazz is a pretty well defined thing from a musicological standpoint, right? Flamenco is a very well defined musicological thing. Um, Jazz is extremely broad, but flamenco jazz, finding the sort of a Venn diagram between them, is a pretty narrow category. Not that just because it's a narrow category, musicologically speaking, doesn't mean that there's not a lot of it. I think there's a fair bit of it. Um, and flamenco jazz could mean a few different things, right? Flamenco jazz could be flamenco music by more traditional flamenco players, guitarists, and so on, that has a jazz bend or a jazz lean, whether it's relatively new flamenco like nueva flamenco or rumba flamenca, that is aware of jazz, or maybe even like jazz manouche, like a sort of like a gypsy jazz. Um, but then there's also, and this is kind of where I wanted to start, was jazz that was aware of flamenco, because of course that's probably in a historical sense, jazz players being conscious of flamenco probably predates flamenco being aware of and incorporating jazz in back into itself. Now there's a dialogue between flamenco and jazz. One of the obvious places to start is actually with Miles Davis, who on Kind of Blue, probably Kind of Blue by Miles Davis is I mean, it might be the most famous jazz recording because it's definitely well known by any jazz listener. It's also very well known among people who basically don't even listen to jazz. I had friends in I had friends in college who had this. Always this classic kind of hipster conversation that would happen. It's like, "Are you a Kind of Blue fan? Or are you uh, was the Coltrane record? Love Supreme fan?" It's like both, and also a million other things. How about that? So, uh, yeah, I mean, Kind of Blue, great record. Obviously, there's a song on there called Flamenco Sketches, and I was looking at the sheet music. I have the full lead sheets and uh, some of the straight composing for that record. And if you look at Flamenco Sketches, where the piece sounds like flamenco or sounds like it has a Spanish influence is a particular place where there's like a Mixolydian flat six. I might be getting that wrong. I'd have to look back at the notes, but um, that really kind of is just kind of this like there's a more complicated harmony, but it's basically just like something like this, like so this like tight note cluster in a larger harmonic context, maybe like a dominant chord featuring this cluster. Um, is definitely where the piece has deviates from just like kind of like like a straightforward modal jazz into something flamenco influence. And then after the Flamenco Sketches and Kind of Blue, the next stepping stone is Sketches of Spain, also by Miles Davis and Gil Evans, um, which was only like a year or two later, but maybe not even. It was like right after. And yeah, I mean that is that moves away from jazz into so what could really properly be called third stream. And so anyone who knows a little bit about the desire to merge jazz and orchestral classical music, contemporary composition, and so on, uh, would have heard of third stream. Uh, Third stream yields very strange results. There's a lot of good third stream records, but um, jazz and classical music prior to the conscious desire to merge them was already being merged with. I mean, you could argue that Stravinsky was, in some sense, trying to was aware of jazz and was aware of the power of jazz music, and then worked that into um, not necessarily Rite of Spring, but I mean, this is he was on the level. And then his neoclassicist phase, maybe purged a little bit of that. But then Gershwin, Rhapsody in Blue, I mean, these are obviously these are jazz orchestrations. But much later, there was a more, like I said, more self-conscious desire to merge them in a grand synthesis, harmonically. And it's still it's this ongoing project that has not really been a success. Not really, or hasn't taken off and become like a standard American mode of producing contemporary music. It's just not, hasn't happened. But I mean, it's really, I think it was maybe one of the reasons for that is because it was perfected on Sketches of Spain. I think that record is cinematic, and that word gets maybe overly used for describing music, like, oh, it's cinematic. It's like some music is deliberately cinematic in that it's made to soundtrack cinema. This was not made for that, but it is suggestive of mythological, archetypal journeys, and being in a desert, being in a strange land. Yeah, I couldn't recommend that record highly enough. Sketches of Spain by Miles Davis and Gil Evans. So I think maybe my landlord is here. Well, sorry, I'm yawning. Sorry about that. I was yawning a lot yesterday. Ooh, we could do a little ad spot. Celsius, live fit. I do love Celsius. It is just like, I mean, let's take a look at these daily values. Vitamin C, 67%. That's 2/3 right there. Riboflavin. Ribo? I never know if I'm saying that right. 131%. Niacin, 125%. Vitamin B6, 118%. Vitamin B12, 250%. Biotin, 1,000% daily value. Means you have one of these babies. You don't need biotin for 10 days, 9 days. That's not true. Probably pee it out. Pantothenic acid, 200%. Calcium, 4%. Why even, 4% daily value? Why even say it? Why even say, like, there's basically no calcium in here. Like, there's more calcium if I probably get more calcium if I'm grinding my teeth. Chromium, 143%. Sodium, 0%. Is the jury still out on sodium, whether it's good or bad for you, how and in what way. Celsius, Live Fit. Celsius would probably pay me not to advertise for them. It's like, we actually don't want some schlubby early 30s guy who hasn't even showered by 10:30 in the morning and is doing live streams holding part of a banjo in the frame. Yeah, we actually would not want that to be our target audience or our the people that we're advertising to. We're looking more for like a woman who is like already fit, uh, rather than I mean, and also get rid of that neck beard. That's just what I imagine they probably would want. But I love it. Live Fit. It does taste good. I mean, that's true. This is orange. I guess they have other flavors. I've never tried a flavor other than orange, and I see them in the store now. I think there's like a watermelon flavor. There might be like a lemonade. There might be strawberry. Um, I gotta check out those other flavors because I mean the orange flavor. I'm so used to the orange flavor, but I was like, you have something enough, you do kind of get like sick of it, or you want a little bit more variety. Yeah, I'm gonna try the watermelon. Unless I imagine that. I'll try whatever flavors I find. So I sometimes think that I have this theory that it's like Celsius. It's called Celsius because, well, it says essential energy, accelerates metabolism, burns body fat. And then next to accelerates metabolism, it gives like these symbols that I think are supposed to tell you like what is accelerating your metabolism. And if I'm right about that, well, there's no sugar. Yeah, it's sugarless. There's sucralose. There's 200 milligrams of caffeine. Yeah, it's caffeinated. I have this theory that it's called, I mean, there's no sugar, no preservatives. Okay. I think it's called Celsius because it raises your body temperature. It like, just like, m- hopefully not from inflammation or anything like that, but it just like, yeah, it just burns you up. There's like a little picture, there's a picture of an orange slice, and you can't really see, but there's like little bubbles, silver bubbles bubbling off of it because it's carbonated. Celsius, Live Fit. I'm seriously not sponsored or anything. I mean, sponsored. Um, Play a little blues for you for no reason. It's a 9 bar blues. Forget about 8 bar and 12 bar. 9 bar blues is going to come around. There's a few nine. There's only like a handful, like a literal handful. Like you can count on one hand the number of 9 bar blues that exist. Um, Sitting on top of the world. To hear a good version of that, listen to Jack White on the Cold Mountain soundtrack. I think he does it 9 bars. Um, Yeah, I usually play it faster than that, but I kind of like the slow blues. Play a little Sam Cooke for you. You Send Me. I'm not gonna sing it, just because it's I haven't gotten ready for the day. But now that you know it's You Send Me by Sam Cooke, you'll be able to kind of hear. So was the Eddie Van Halen of playing banjo. What if? Anyway, when you see this and you wonder, man, what the heck is this guy talking about? Just remember the whole point of this was to solicit your thoughts, ideas, suggestions, hot takes on video essay ideas, with the only one that I really shared was a little bit of history about flamenco jazz, starting with some late 50s, early 60s Miles Davis recordings, and then slowly but surely working our way up to working our working away from jazz influenced by flamenco into flamenco influenced by jazz. Celsius, live fit.